Have you ever noticed how standard terrains in games often look empty, like something is missing? Now imagine a forest after a storm, covered in fallen leaves and branches, or a battlefield where bullet casings lie scattered among the grass, an ocean floor filled with shells and corals. It's the little details that make a world feel alive. But here's the problem. Placing them manually takes forever, and built-in terrain tools just are not designed for this. So, what's the solution? Give up on small details and leave the world looking dull? Or overload the scene with thousands of objects and lose FPS? I'll show you how to place micro details in your scene beautifully, quickly, and without performance loss with Microdetail Terrain System. I've already prepared the terrain, and at first glance, it looks like the environment is set, with the main elements in place. But still, something feels missing, doesn't it? The surface looks empty and lifeless. This is where micro details come into play. Pebbles, moss, grass, everything settles naturally on the surface. By the way, the grass and moss here are procedurally generated. They look great at medium and long distances, and most importantly, they are incredibly performance-friendly. I can layer as many layers as I want, and I won't have any problems with that. Want to add apples? Sure. Want trash? Easy. I can draw as many objects as I want, and each one will be placed correctly. Once I've set up the layer, I just grab the brush and paint on the terrain. Everything immediately looks natural, as if it was always there. And most importantly, everything I paint with Microdetail Terrain System remains highly optimized and has little impact on FPS. You can add thousands of micro details, and the scene will still remain lightweight and fast. How do I manage to place thousands of micro details without losing performance? It all comes down to a specialized data storage system and flexible settings. Microdetail Terrain System uses the SDF format, allowing you to work with a large number of objects without straining the system. To quickly convert popular 3D formats to SDF, simply use the built-in converter, Tools, Microdetail, Converter. After conversion, I recommend storing all assets in a separate folder. This way you'll always have a ready-to-use palette of objects available instantly. Now let's create and configure a layer to start painting details on the terrain. Let's create a layer. In the Layers section, click plus. Then in the Layer Entries section, add the recently converted assets to the layer. Before painting, let's adjust the basic brush settings in the Stroke section. Then select the layer and paint a small area on the terrain. Now that we can see how the objects are distributed on the terrain, it will be easier to fine-tune the settings for the desired result. Well, now for the most exciting part. Let's dive into fine-tuning to achieve maximum realism. First, let's adjust the density of details. How do we make the scene look realistic without overloading it? This is how the density of micro details changes. Need more? Simply increase samples per unit area. Want fewer details? Just decrease it. Now let's adjust the size. With uniform size, you can make all objects the same size or introduce random variation. And if you add tint over size, you can create a color gradient. For example, smaller grass can appear greener than larger grass. Or you can go even further by adding random tint, which applies a unique color variation to each object. Now, let's move on to the additional modules. Wind module. It adds realistic movement to objects swaying in the wind. You can control the wind intensity, creating anything from a gentle breeze to strong gusts. And if you want objects to blend smoothly into the environment, enable the Terrain Blending module. This module creates a smooth transition between the object and the terrain, giving it a more natural appearance. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is Tint Microdetail. If you need to manually recolor details, simply use Tint Microdetail. After activation, the tint color field appears in the inspector. Simply choose a color and paint over the desired details. This allows you to quickly and easily change the color of objects without editing textures. This way, you can add color variations and make the scene more visually engaging. And of course, I want to express my gratitude to the artists who allowed their models to be used in Microdetail Terrain System. You can find links to their work in the description below this video and in the project documentation. In conclusion, as you can see, there are endless possibilities for customizing microdetails. This asset is designed for developers who want to create detailed scenes without unnecessary complexity. Ready to bring your terrains to life? Then Microdetail Terrain System is waiting for you.